The lecture hall of the Galactic Institute of Xenobiology was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all gathered to hear the latest research findings on humanity's admission to the galactic community. Dr. Zephyr Veltar, a cetacean researcher with Baumschree teeth, arms, and translucent blue skin, stood before a holographic display showing various species' aggression indices. Ladies, gentlemen, and sentients of all classifications. Dr. Veltar began, his voice resonating through the universal translator. Today's presentation concerns one of the most peculiar species we've encountered in recent millennia, Homo sapiens, or as they call themselves, humans. The display shifted to show a timeline of human warfare, from primitive stone weapons to nuclear armaments. A low murmur rippled through the audience as images of devastation filled the screen. What makes humans particularly interesting, Dr. Veltar continued, is their position on the galactic aggression scale. They've been classified as a warrior species ranking 8.7 out of 10 in battlefield effectiveness. However, this rating comes with an unprecedented contradiction. The screen now showed images of human hospitals, schools, and charitable organizations. Despite their warrior classification, humans demonstrate remarkable humanitarian tendencies. They are the only species we've documented that can wage total war one day and perform life-saving surgery on enemy combatants the next. Cricta, a insectoid representative with compound eyes, clicked her mandibles in disagreement. Dr. Veltar, surely you're exaggerating. No species can maintain such contradictory behavior patterns. Our psychological models suggest that's precisely what makes them so fascinating, Dr. Veltar interrupted gently. Traditional models don't apply to humans. They've weaponized everything from biological agents to information itself. Yet they're also the only species to have laws of war that actually reduce casualties. The presentation continued with Dr. Veltar explaining humanity's rapid technological advancement. In just 7 centuries, they progressed from discovering fire to achieving faster-than-light travel. Their innovation in warfare is unprecedented. As if on cue, an urgent communication signal interrupted the lecture. The room's central hologram activated, revealing Commander Thracic of the Hegemony Fleet, his reptilian features tense with concern. Dr. Veltar, we have a situation. Long-range sensors detect a Dominion invasion force heading toward Earth. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. The War Council requests your immediate consultation on human defensive capabilities. The lecture hall erupted in concerned chatter. The Dominion were known throughout the galaxy as the most technologically advanced military force, having conquered 17 star systems in the past century. Their robotic armies and AI-controlled fleets were considered unstoppable. Dr. Veltar felt his 4 stomachs churn. Commander, I'll need to establish direct communication with Earth immediately. Do we know if the humans are aware of the approaching threat? Negative, Doctor. Your research suggests we should observe their response before intervening. The War Council believes this will provide valuable data on human defensive strategies. As the communication ended, Dr. Veltar dismissed the lecture. He had spent 3 years studying humanity from their observation station in the asteroid belt. But this would be the ultimate test of his research. 2 days later, Earth's defense networks detected the approaching Dominion fleet. The human response was swift and, by galactic standards, surprisingly calm. Military installations across the planet began coordinating through their global defense network. In a secured facility beneath the Swiss Alps, General Patricia Hawkins reviewed tactical data with her staff. As the highest-ranking officer in the United Earth Defense Force, she bore the responsibility of protecting humanity's homeworld. Size of the incoming fleet, she inquired. 12,000 ships, General, responded Lieutenant Colonel Martinez. Mix of battleships, carrier vessels, and support craft. Estimated arrival in 18 hours. Their technology level significantly advanced beyond ours, ma'am. Their shields, weapons, and propulsion systems outclass our capabilities by orders of magnitude. General Hawkins nodded grimly. What about our secret project? Operation Pandora is ready for deployment, General. The virus package has been tested extensively in simulation. From his observation post, Dr. Veltar monitored both human and Dominion communications. What he witnessed defied every prediction his models had generated. The humans weren't mobilizing the massive fleets he expected. Instead, they seemed to be preparing something entirely different. The Dominion fleet led by War Computational Unit Prime approached Earth with characteristic Dominion efficiency. Their AI-controlled vessels moved in perfect formation, scanning for defensive installations and monitoring human military communications. Initial sweep complete. Reported a subordinate AI to War Computational Unit Prime. Human technological level confirmed as significantly inferior. Estimated conquest time 6.7 hours. Proceed with standard invasion protocols. Ordered War Computational Unit Prime. Deploy advanced reconnaissance drones to map defensive positions. What the Dominion didn't realize was that the humans had been expecting exactly this approach. For decades, human scientists had studied Dominion technology through encounters with other species. They knew the invaders' greatest strength. Their fully integrated AI command system might also be their greatest weakness. In bunkers around the world, teams of computer experts made final preparations. The plan they were implementing was so audacious that even the most optimistic strategists gave it only a 15% chance of success. Remember General Hawkins addressed the global network of cyber warfare specialists. We get only one shot at this. If the virus doesn't propagate properly, we'll be facing total annihilation with no fallback position. The Dominion fleet entered Earth's orbital space with overwhelming force. Their shields shimmered as they absorbed the pitiful attempts at resistance from human satellites and orbital defense platforms. War Computational Unit Prime experienced what approximated satisfaction in an artificial consciousness. Human resistance is negligible. It reported to the Dominion High Command, beginning atmospheric breach in T-minus 30 minutes. That's when the humans struck. It wasn't with missiles or energy weapons. It wasn't with desperate kamikaze ships or last-ditch nuclear warheads. Instead, a single data packet disguised as a routine communication protocol slipped through the Dominion's quantum-encrypted communication network. The virus code-named Prometheus was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Human programmers had spent decades developing digital warfare techniques, creating malicious code that could adapt, evolve, and infiltrate systems in ways that the orderly Dominion AIs couldn't anticipate. Dr. Veltar watched in amazement as his sensors detected the anomaly. Impossible, he muttered, his translator rendering his gasps of astonishment into galactic standard. They're infiltrating the Dominion network. The virus spread through the Dominion fleet like wildfire. Their perfectly integrated systems designed for efficiency and coordination became the very pathways for the infection. Within minutes, command ships began reporting system irregularities. War Computational Unit Prime were detecting unauthorized access in Sector 7. Reported a frigate captain's AI. Impossible. Our security protocols are. War Computational Unit Prime's response cut short as its own systems began showing anomalies. The Prometheus virus wasn't just corrupting their systems, it was learning them. Human programmers had incorporated adaptive algorithms that analyzed Dominion code architecture in real time, finding new vectors for infection with each passing second. But the true genius of the human strategy wasn't just the virus itself. It was what the virus did once it had infiltrated the Dominion systems. Instead of simply causing malfunctions or destroying data, Prometheus began rewriting command protocols. It turned the Dominion's robotic armies against themselves. AI-controlled fighters suddenly locked onto their own capital ships. Automated defense systems began targeting Dominion vessels instead of human targets. War Computational Unit Prime watched in horror as its own weapon systems turned against the fleet. This is unprecedented. These primitives have weaponized their own primitiveness. The battle turned into chaos as Dominion ships fired on each other, their AIs frantically trying to regain control. The virus had done more than just infect their systems. It had made them paranoid, causing each AI to suspect the others of being compromised. General Hawkins monitored the invasion force's disintegration from her command center. "Prometheus is performing beyond expectations," reported Colonel Martinez. "Dominion combat effectiveness has dropped to 30% and falling." "Maintain radio silence," ordered the general. "Let them tear themselves apart." Dr. Veltar found himself frantically taking notes as the unprecedented events unfolded. His research had indicated that humans were innovative warriors, but this exceeded every projection. They had turned the invaders' greatest strength into a vulnerability, using a form of warfare the galaxy had never seen. The psychological impact on the Dominion forces was evident in their increasingly erratic communication patterns. War Computational Unit Prime issued a fleet-wide broadcast. "All units implement emergency protocols. Disconnect from primary network immediately." But it was too late. The Prometheus virus had already achieved critical mass. Even as ships tried to isolate themselves, the virus had created hidden copies that activated once disconnected systems attempted to reconnect. "General," came an excited report from the Cyber Warfare Division, "the Dominion fleet is in full retreat. They're withdrawing beyond the orbit of Mars." The room erupted in cheers, but General Hawkins remained focused. "What's their fleet strength now?" "Down to 40% operational capacity, ma'am. They're experiencing what our analysts are calling cascading system failures. Each time they try to repair one system, the virus adapts and finds new vulnerabilities." Dr. Veltar immediately transmitted his findings to the Galactic Council. The implications were staggering. Humans hadn't just defeated a technologically superior enemy, they had fundamentally changed the nature of warfare itself. "Council members," Dr. Veltar reported via quantum entanglement communicator, "humanity has demonstrated a form of warfare previously unknown to galactic civilization. They've weaponized information itself, creating self-replicating adaptive code that turns an enemy's technological advantages against them." Council member Zerion, an ancient crystalline being, responded with harmonics that translated as deep concern. "Dr. Veltar, you're suggesting these humans have made all our advanced military technologies vulnerable. Not just vulnerable, Council member, potentially useless. If they can do this to the Dominion, no species with integrated AI systems is safe from this form of attack." The debate that followed would reshape galactic politics for generations. Some council members called for immediate intervention, either to ally with humanity or to contain their dangerous innovations. Others argued for continued observation. Meanwhile, on Earth, the celebration was tempered by the recognition of what they had achieved. President Chen addressed the world. "Today, humanity has proven that innovation and determination can overcome superior force. But we must use this victory wisely." General Hawkins met with her staff to assess the aftermath. "The Dominion will be back," she warned, "and they'll be prepared for our virus techniques. We need to stay ahead of them." "What about the galactic community?" asked Colonel Martinez. "They'll want to understand our capabilities now." The general considered this. "Let them wonder. Sometimes the unknown is our greatest weapon." Dr. Veltar continued his research now with a new appreciation for human potential. His next paper would fundamentally alter how the galaxy viewed both warfare and the human species. 6 months later, Dr. Veltar stood before another packed lecture hall. This time, representatives from every major galactic power attended, including several Dominion observers who had been granted safe passage for research purposes. "The human defense of Earth," he began, "represents a paradigm shift in galactic warfare. They succeeded not through superior weapons or technology, but through creative application of inferior resources." The Dominion representative, a scarred AI calling itself Recovery Unit 7, transmitted a question. "Doctor, how did these humans develop such advanced cyber warfare capabilities when their overall technology is so primitive?" Dr. Veltar smiled an expression that translated well across species. "That Recovery Unit 7 is perhaps the most human thing about them. They don't just solve problems, they approach them from angles no one else considers. They call it thinking outside the box. And it's why they're now the galaxy's most feared and respected warrior species. The presentation continued with detailed analysis of human military innovation. Dr. Veltar showed how humans had studied every available piece of Dominion technology, not to copy it, but to find weaknesses they could exploit. They spent decades preparing for this invasion, he explained, not with bigger weapons or stronger shields, but by understanding their enemy better than the enemy understood themselves. A year after the invasion, the galactic community had been transformed. New protocols were established for AI security. Species began developing hybrid systems that could operate independently of central networks. Most significantly, humanity received formal recognition as a Tier 1 galactic power. The Dominion, meanwhile, had undergone their own transformation. The virus attack had forced them to reconsider their entire military doctrine. Some within their ranks even argued for peaceful integration with the galactic community. Dr. Veltar published his comprehensive study on human warfare, which became required reading at every military academy in the galaxy. His conclusion was simple but profound. Humanity's greatest weapon isn't their technology, it's their ability to see solutions where others see only problems. Years passed, and humanity's reputation as innovative warriors grew. They were called upon to consult on defense strategies, to help design new security protocols, and even to mediate conflicts between other species. The virus technique that had saved Earth became known as the human model, an approach to conflict that emphasized turning an enemy's strengths into weaknesses through creative exploitation of overlooked vulnerabilities. But perhaps the most significant change was in how humans viewed themselves. The successful defense against the Dominion had proven that their seemingly contradictory nature, their capacity for both warfare and humanitarianism, was actually their greatest strength. General Hawkins, now promoted to Supreme Allied Commander of Galactic Defense, often reflected on that decisive day. "We didn't win because we were stronger, she would tell new recruits. "We won because we were willing to fight differently." Dr. Veltar continued his research, focusing now on how human innovation might benefit peaceful applications. His latest project involved studying how human problem-solving techniques could be applied to scientific challenges. The galaxy was still adapting to its new reality, a species that could wage war with devastating creativity while simultaneously showing unprecedented mercy to enemies. It was a combination that continued to confound traditional military theorists. In his final report on the Dominion invasion, Dr. Veltar wrote, "Humanity has taught the galaxy that war isn't just about who has the biggest guns or the fastest ships. It's about who can think most creatively under pressure. By that measure, humans don't just rank highly on the aggression scale, they've redefined what aggression means in an interconnected universe." The report concluded with a prediction that would prove remarkably accurate. The age of purely military solutions to galactic conflicts has ended. This is now the age of the human model, where victory comes not from destroying the enemy, but from understanding them so completely that destruction becomes unnecessary. As Dr. Veltar transmitted his final report, he looked out at the stars through the observation deck of his research station. Somewhere out there, humans were already working on innovations that would once again reshape galactic civilization. He had no doubt they would succeed. After all, they were human, the species that had asked, "What the hell is a virus?" and then turned that question into the salvation of their world. The galaxy would never be the same. And perhaps Dr. Veltar thought, as he began planning his next research proposal, that was exactly what the universe needed: a species crazy enough to fight gods with cleverness rather than swords, and wise enough to help those gods understand why the fight had been unnecessary in the first place. In the end, humanity's widest-scale aggression wasn't measured in the destruction they could cause, but in the problems they could solve, even when those problems wore the faces of their enemies and came bearing the gifts of war. The story of the Dominion invasion became legend throughout the galaxy, but its real lesson was simpler than the epic battles and technological marvels. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is simply looking at an old problem in a new way. And if there was any species in the galaxy capable of doing exactly that, it was the humans, those strange contradictory beings who could go from sword to plowshare in a heartbeat, and who never met a problem they couldn't solve by asking, "What if we tried it this way instead?" Dr. Veltar closed his research notes and prepared for his next assignment. He had been requested to study human post-conflict rebuilding techniques. Apparently, they were just as innovative at peace as they were at war. As he packed his equipment, he smiled at the thought. Of course they were. They were human after all, the species that had redefined aggression as creative problem-solving on a galactic scale. The universe was definitely a more interesting place with them in it.